Hello ladies and gentlemen, and you join me in Shropshire, and I've never been here before. Shropshire is a place in England. If you're not familiar with it, it is an area of outstanding natural beauty, and I've come here really just to take a look around. Now I've got to apologise if there's a bit of wind noise today. It is a little bit windy up here, and as protected as the microphone is, I've got things and things on it. That doesn't always cut out extraneous wind noise, so I do apologise for that right now. Now, the whole idea of this trip isn't to actually go somewhere and take a photo, it's to go somewhere and have a bit of a scout around to see if there are places where I might want to come back to at a later date. And so this is the first one. Now, at the moment, I'm really focusing on places that are within driving distance. So places I can pull over and maybe walk a few hundred yards and see a shot. And from the side of the road, and I've got to be a bit careful of this road because on some cases there's a drop off just going like that. I've noticed this path and thought that that might be a nice bit of foreground interest for the hill that we've got there in the background. Something else I did want to point out, and I did this a little while ago, but this is the first video where I've had the opportunity to actually talk about it. I have fixed the problem that I had with lens creep on my lens. So this is what I've done. All I've done is I've got a little sort of elastic band thing. It's one of those like those charity wristbands you get. And the wind really is picking up here, so I don't want to be too long. Anyway, I just put that around the lens and I stretch it over onto part of the lens that doesn't move. And so whilst it's not in operation, nothing happens to this, which is brilliant. When I want to use the lens, I just take that, I move it onto the part of the lens that does move, and I can just use my lens as normal. So if you are in a position where you have a lens that has lens creep, but you don't want to get rid of it to get something else, that's a good solution. It's really worked for me. So I want to take a picture of this down here. I've got some bushes in the foreground. That's going to be the sort of foreground interest here. And then the mountain, the road leading into the background. In order to do that, I'm going to have to turn around, and the camera may lose focus. It may not recognize that I'm still here. Now the sun at the moment is up there, and it's going that way, so it's setting that side. So we've got a lot of side light coming in here, but it's not, and it's a nice day, but there is cloud cover there. So a lot of the light that we're getting is diffused light. So what I'm going to do settings wise, I'm just going to take a sort of quick reading here to see what we've got. I've got everything on auto at the moment. 5.6, 320. Okay, so I'm going to put this onto 160 ISO because it doesn't need to be a high ISO here. There is plenty of light. I'm going to put the shutter speed onto 250, and I'm going to leave the aperture on automatic. The framing of the shot, this is going to be a little bit difficult to explain. I want to get the bushes that are down there in the foreground, which means I'm probably going to stand back here to do it. So that I can zoom in a little bit, and then in the sort of background of the image and the subject of the image is the mountain and then the landscape beyond. So let's try that. If I move over here, I don't know if the camera can follow me. Yes, it can, just about. Right, I'm going to try and compose this shot now and take a version of it. This is where the hat starts to blow off, which is better than me blowing off, I can tell you. Okay, so if I zoom in here now, I'm at sort of 35 mil here, and I'm missing some of the mountain in the background. I think I might be better off if I actually came down here, and I don't know if you can. I tell you what, I'll take you with me. I'll take you with me. That's what we'll do. Come down here. Right. See if this can refocus. Right, so what we're going to be trying to do then is, I'm a lot closer now. I want us to be out at 18 mil. I've got these bushes in the foreground. I can see the landscape that I wanted to see now. Making 18 mil has given me that space that I wanted in order to get the shot that I wanted as well. We are on F7. Wow, okay, so I'm going to take this off auto. I might as well put this down to F8, which is where I'd want it anyway. We have got let's see, 250th f8. Okay, these bushes at the front here, I'm going to put on the right-hand horizon line at the bottom of the image, and then that means that I can get the peak of the mountain right in the center of the shot, which is what I want. And normally I do this by holding it up to my eye, but it's a little tricky here at the moment because I don't want things to fall off. Okay, I'm going to focus on the mountain in the background. If I press the right button, I didn't press the right button there, I pressed the key button there. Right, focused on the mountain in the background. Take that shot, and we'll see how that turns out. Next thing I'm going to do, because there's some really nice skies around here, and I'm slowly building up this pack of skies that I wanted to produce, I'm going to just take a couple of pictures of skies as well. And if you're out and you wanted to, you know, you've got your camera with you and you see nice skies or you see clouds that you don't have in your collection, that's a great time to actually go and do this. Now, I'm just going to get on with this, and I'll see you in the next thing after you've seen how that photo turned out. Of course, the point of this wasn't to get the best photos around, but to see if there were shots that I might want to take on a return visit. I actually think this one came out quite well, however, and I like those bushes in the foreground. I would have liked to have seen the hill a little bit taller in the frame, but what you're seeing now is the unedited version of this image, and I did spend some time in Luminar seeing what I could get out of the image. You'll notice that the sky has been replaced with this one, with one of the skies that were taken a few weeks ago in the sky replacement video. A slight switch in colours and an enhancing of that heather, and I've got something that I'm really quite pleased with here. When I say it doesn't matter when you shoot, software like this is one of the reasons why you can do so much with images during the processing phase. As you join me again, however, I was struggling a little bit with the auto mode on the camera. I'm at the second location, pulled the car over, taken a little walk down, and there's some great mountains over there. And I've largely left the camera in auto for this because I didn't want to sort of play around with settings. None of the shots that I'm taking today are really there to get to win awards. They're not brilliant shots. They're there really to give me an idea of the landscape, an idea of perhaps a couple of different compositions. We'll have a look at what I got in a couple of minutes. But I did want to say there is a distinct difference between shots that you go out and take that you think are going to be part of your portfolio and shots that you go out and take that you think are just, you know, you going out and taking shots. But that doesn't really diminish any of the shots that you take that aren't really, that you haven't set up to be a portfolio shot. And I have heard some people saying very recently that they have been told by people that the photography that they do isn't proper photography in some way, shape or form. But I think that's a bit of a bogus idea, because what is proper photography? I mean, what is it that we're meant to do differently when we take a photo that changes it from being a snap into being a work of art, or at least a work of photography? I don't know, and I'm not actually sure that there is a real response to this. I think the thing is, if you create an image at the end of the day that either you're happy with, or an image that other people are happy enough with to buy, you've done your job. You know, you've done absolutely everything that you can in order to create that image. None of the shots, like I said today, none of the shots today have been taken in order to sell. They've all been taken so that I've got references when I get back home, so that when I go, okay, I want to go somewhere for sunset or for sunrise, I'll know roughly which direction the sun was facing, I'll know roughly where it was, and I'll be able to say, okay, well, I'll go to that location. And it means that when I go back to that location at the right time of day, I'm not going to be wasting my time. And you can use days like today in order to do that, in order to sort of scout out new locations, to go to new places and to do that sort of thing. But if whilst you're doing that, you end up getting a shot that is really, really good, use it. There's no one person can tell you what a good photograph is. It's so subjective that the chances are, if you think that a photograph is good, there will be enough people out there who think exactly the same thing. So if you are in that boat and somebody said, well, actually, no, what you do is you take snaps, you don't really take photos, ignore them. If you think that what you're doing is good, if you are finding some sort of artistic merit in what you're doing, go for it. Now, what I've done with these shots, like I said, I largely let the camera decide what I was doing. And that was probably a bit of a mistake because it was using shutter speeds of 3,200 and f16, and it was also boosting the ISO. And I just kind of thought, maybe I should have just set all the settings the way that I wanted them to, and hoped it didn't peak. Well, nevertheless, I've got the shots that I want. There's some interesting light on the hill over there, which may or may not come out in the edit. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to find out. So until next time, what I'm going to do now is pack up here. I'm going to go a little bit further down the road. I think there's some more parking places. I think there's some more shots to have a look at. So that's next. In the meantime, I will leave you with the few shots that I've taken around here. These are some of the images I got from that stop. There wasn't anything particularly special here, and I think the sun is really in the wrong direction, but I can see some potential for this location. It's clear to me now that this would be best shot at sunrise, and as you can see, the sun coming up over those hills in the background would look really good. The location also gave me some interesting opportunities to include foreground in the image as well, or to rely on that drop off of the hill to really focus on the hills in the background. Sometimes it's nice to be above the peaks that are around you looking down onto your subject, although it can make them look a little less majestic. So I got back to the car and actually it got incredibly windy, so I've come away. I got some interesting shots today, and I can definitely see that there is a good chance of getting some good shots in these locations. It was an interesting trip to be able to go and do something, because I'd never been there before. It's not far away from me. It's actually a quicker journey to get to where I've been today than it is for me to go to somewhere like the Brecon Beacons. And actually the landscape isn't too dissimilar. There's an awful lot of similarity between the mountains of the Beacons and the hills in Shropshire. I'm very lucky in that I live in this area of outstanding natural beauty, and we've got Shropshire just far away, the Cotswolds, which is right on my doorstep. We've got Brecon not that far away. There's sort of Avebury and that whole area, the Chilterns, and then just further down south, within about a 3-hour journey, I can get to all of these locations, even coastal locations, which is lucky. And in part, that's because I live in the UK, and because there isn't much in the UK that you can't do that with. But with that comes the big problem that if you go somewhere and you've never been there before, and of course it costs money to go everywhere, it's costing me petrol to bomb around the countryside today, you might just come away with nothing. So this trip today has been incredibly useful, because it means that when I come back, and I will be coming back, I can go to a particular location. I'll know roughly where it was in relation to everything else, and I've been making notes on where the light was in the shot and the time of day it was as well. So I'll be able to say, okay, well, come sunset, this should be lit up, and this shouldn't be lit up, and this is the thing that's going to be in silhouette. Very useful trick if you haven't done that. And that's where apps like PhotoPills can come in, because they can give you the exact time of day where the sun is going to be sort of where you want it in your shot as well. So well worth checking stuff like that out as well. Anyway, I think today's been pretty successful. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And here is the final image of the day, a panorama taken from one of the car parks that are dotted throughout this landscape. Again, this was heavily played around with, and I wouldn't have got this shot at all if I'd waited for the right sun. In fact, I'm not even sure the light in this image is possible naturally. As I said, I've been using Luminar for a lot of these images, and it's done a rather good job. I do like it when combined with either Photoshop or Lightroom, and the combination of programs has really allowed me to get something special where I wouldn't have got anything before. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, then you can make sure that you don't miss any of these videos by subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button, the little bell icon at the end, and the all notifications tab that comes up. If you're really nice and a very kind person as well, you could help me grow this channel by telling all of your friends and Twitter followers and Facebook followers and Instagrammies all about me. I'd be very grateful. For now, however, thanks very much for coming along on this trip with me, and I'll see you in the next video. Until next time, keep taking those photos.